And the method is just a little bit different when you're poaching fish or shellfish. We're going to use a court bouillon to poach a large salmon and also to poach salmon steaks. Court bouillon means short broth. And it's just simply flavored with carrots and celery and lemon, special spices like peppercorns, bay leaf, and thyme. So right now I'd like to show you how to poach salmon steaks. I'm going to make a simple aromatic hot water bath for the salmon. And first thing I want to do is cut up the white part of a leek and cut into 1/4-inch slices. If it's a light colored fish, you don't want anything too strong in the water, so we're just going to use this part. Now, to make sure that the leek does not have any dirt in it, and leeks are notorious for hiding little grains of dirt underneath the leaves. Sometimes when you pull off a leaf, see the little bit of dirt here? So you want to make sure you don't get any of that dirt or grit in which the leek was grown in your bouillon. See that? There's not a lot, but there's just enough to be gritty. Now I'm just taking all the way up till it starts to turn dark green. There. So all of this goes into the water. Let it just steep a little bit, and all the grit will fall to the bottom. This, of course, gets washed and into your stock pot. Don't throw that away. It's so valuable. Slice the lemon about the same thickness as your leek, a little less than 1/4 inch. And I oftentimes use lemon instead of wine in my court bouillon. A lot of recipes do call for wine, and you can use a nice dry white wine, but I really prefer the taste of lemon with salmon. And cut your celery into small pieces and put that in. And carrots. The more surface on your carrots, see how I'm quarter turning these carrots, the better. You'll get a lot of flavor out of the carrot. 2 carrots would be good for the broth. I'm not using any onion. I'm using leek because it's a little bit milder tasting and actually has a more complex flavor. About 1/2 teaspoon of peppercorns. You could use white or black. Some thyme, just put that into the water, and 2 bay leaves. Bring this to a boil and simmer it for about 30 minutes. Now I'm just taking the leeks out of the water, adding that to the pot. Now the goal is to avoid overpowering the food that's going to be poached. So this flavorful but mild short broth will do just that. So don't use strong herbs like rosemary or sage or cilantro. Too strong, I think, for a delicate fish like a salmon. So 30 minutes and you're ready to start poaching your fish. Now these are beautiful salmon steaks. I have 4 of them. I have a pan in which they will all fit in one layer, just far enough apart so that the water circulates around them. So season very lightly with salt. So here, just put it in the pan. And then ladle in your poaching liquid. And the liquid is so aromatic. It really, really smells delicious. Make sure the fish is completely covered. That's called a deep poach. And depending on the thickness of the fish, you will poach for between 5 and 8 minutes. Oh, and I'm going to test the water. It should be 160 degrees. There it is, going up. Almost there, 160 degrees. So continue to poach, and you cook until the fish is opaque. As I said, between 5 and 8 minutes. And so now, 5 minutes, these are done. Lift your steaks right out onto a piece of parchment paper. They are so beautiful. And if you're going to serve these hot, you'll put these right onto a serving platter and serve your guests, or plate it up. It's okay to serve it just like this, but I prefer doing it a little bit fancier. And you can loosen the skin with a fork and take it around like this. See how nicely it comes off? It's so much fun to do this. The skin just comes right off, and it just makes it look a little prettier. And poached skin is not as tasty as grilled skin. twirl it around like that, all the way around the perimeter of the steak. So there. And then another thing that you could do before serving is remove this part of the backbone. I just think this looks very nice. Just lift this up and put it on your platter. And I love warm salmon like this with lemon, dill, and garnish with lemon wedges and sprigs of fresh dill. And here you have a meal in less than an hour that's healthy, nutritious, and beautiful. Now here is an impressive sight, poaching an entire whole salmon. And when poaching a large whole fish, you need to place it in a cool liquid first, then heat it slowly until the liquid reaches 160 degrees. And then you poach it for approximately 7 minutes per inch. Now take your scissors and cut off the fins that are on the bottom. And now this salmon comes from Seattle, and it is an Alaskan king salmon. Make sure that your fishmonger has scaled the fish and taken out the gills. See how nice and clean it is in here. And also, of course, gutted the fish. Beautiful, deep red flesh. I love salmon like this. And the dorsal fin. This one does not have a very large dorsal fin, but cut that off. Leave the tail on because that's part of the presentation. And of course, leave the head on too. I think we have one more fin. Right here. This is the granddaddy of all poachers. I've had this poacher, I don't know for how long, ever since I was catering and doing giant striped bass. And this poacher will hold 4 batches of the poaching liquid. So we've made the poaching liquid with the lemon, the carrots, the leeks, and the celery 4 times. The vegetables are on the bottom. Then goes the poaching rack. This is a very nice way because you can pick the fish out without the fish breaking. You have to have a rack in your poacher. And then put your beautiful fish right on the rack and cover it with cold poaching liquid, cold court bouillon. We've made this yesterday and chilled it. And you want to bring the liquid up to the top of the fish, just so that it is fully submerged. Now turn your heat on, sort of medium-high. So I'm using 2 burners. Now watch the poaching liquid, and you can just use a thermometer like this submerged in the liquid, and that should read 160 degrees. Cover the fish with the cover of the pan. Look at this impressive cover, very impressive. And the fish itself should read 130 degrees when done. So now about 40 minutes to come to 160 degree liquid. Then another 30 minutes, maybe a little less, to come to 130 degrees in the fish. Now put this thermometer right into the fish. And this will stay out, and I've set it for 129 degrees because it jumps to 131 for some reason, won't stay at 130. So 129 is close enough. That's going to take all together about an hour and a quarter. So it's not so difficult to poach a whole fish, and the result is certainly absolutely worth it. If you put the fish in and added hot liquid, it would cook on the outside before it cooks on the inside. So that's why we are doing it this way, starting it in the cool liquid. So be very careful, take your time, and you will get the perfect fish. So the salmon is, I think, perfectly poached. It has sat in the court bouillon for 1 hour. And it looks so lovely. And it's not so hot now that you can't handle it. So we're just taking it out of the court bouillon on the rack onto a parchment covered sheet. You can move your giant poaching pot off to the side. I find it easier to peel it and get it ready for dressing while it's still warm. So be very, very gentle. Slide it off the tray like that. Now I'll move it over here and show you how to remove the skin. You can go down the back very carefully with the point of a knife and lift off the skin. See how it comes off very easily. And I would suggest, actually, for presentation, you can do one side. I think to make sure it stays well together, I am just going to do the top half. Because you can serve it all from this side and not flip it over on a buffet. You just remove the backbone, peel the skin. There is a part of the backbone right here too, and that dorsal fin, which you can pull out. Isn't that a beautiful fish? An Alaskan king salmon like this is always caught wild. It is not farmed. It is a very oily, delicious fish. So beautifully succulent. Very, very good for you. And there, it's nicely clean. And so the salmon is very, very tender. To decorate, I have long cucumber slices, and this will go around the salmon like this for decoration. Like that. I'm going to do stripes all the way down the back. And I'm going to serve it right on this lovely French breadboard. You can use big offset spatulas like this. There. And now to decorate. Take your cucumber slices, and this can be done on a mandolin. Just slice along the whole length of a cucumber. Make a beautiful collar. So pretty. And when you get down towards the tail end, cut the cucumber in shorter pieces. And this is what will go on your buffet with a lovely sauce. This is a watercress caper sour cream mayonnaise sauce, very delicious. Some watercress. I love watercress. It has a nice pungent spiciness to it. And of course, you can line up some lemon wedges, and everyone can have one with a serving of the salmon. So keep this salmon chilled until you're ready to serve it. And remember, poaching doesn't mean that your food has to be bland or uninteresting. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson for delectable poached food. Thanks for watching Martha's Cooking School.